Well, we've talked about expressions, terms, we've solved equations, we've worked with integers, order of operations, polynomials. We're going to put all this stuff together now. We've actually seen this word before. Evaluate. Evaluate. And if you recall, I said before, it has this word value right in the middle of it. Evaluate means find the value of. Find the value of. These should have numerical answers. These are the ones you like, where you can just stick 48 or 12, negative 17 down in that line. Evaluate means find the value of. So, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the value of x plus 3? Question mark. Pause the video, think about that, and then come back. You should be thinking. You should be pausing. You should be thinking. What is the value of x plus 3? Hopefully, you don't know. Hopefully, your answer is, it depends. Hopefully, your answer is, I need to know what x is. Hopefully, your answer is, we don't have enough information. So how about I delete that question mark and add, what is the value of x plus 3 if x equals 4? Question mark. X plus 3 by itself is simply an algebraic expression. And what it means is you've got some number here, x, and you don't know what it is, but you're going to add 3 to it. That's what this expression tells you to do. Take the value of x, that number, and add 3. And then, if you actually know what the value of x is, then you can substitute that value, that's a word that's important, substitute that value in for x. And I always recommend doing this. Whenever you are going to take a variable out and put a number in, you put parentheses around the variable. It's a good practice to get into that's going to save you points. And you always like saving points. X plus 3, if x equals 4, is 4 plus 3, which is equal to 7. There's our value. There's our answer. So, another way I could phrase that is simply evaluate. So, I'm going to say evaluate 2x plus 4. And here's another language thing. Here's another way that textbooks and publishers and authors often write these questions. Evaluate 2x plus 4, and then they use the word 4. X equals 3. So rather than if x equals 3, they might say 4x equals 3. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to rewrite the expression, taking the x out and putting parentheses in its place. And then where those parentheses are, we're going to stick that in. We're going to substitute 3 in for x. And this expression has multiple operations, multiple actions to take. It has times, it has plus. We are going to do our multiplicative operation first. 2 times 3 is 6. Bring down the plus 4. And now we can add 6 plus 4 to get 10. There is our value of this expression for x equals 3. Now I'm going to say evaluate 2x plus 4 for x equals negative 3. Ooh, negatives. Integer work. Okay. So let's do the same thing. We bring down our 2. We take our x. We're going to put parentheses where it was. Bring down everything else. Inside those parentheses, we're now going to put this number. Negative 3 is a number. And in this problem, it's the value of x. See why that parenthesis is important now, right? because what we have is multiplication. 2 times negative 3 plus 4. We're going to do it the same order we did the last one, but now we get a negative 6 plus 4, which is, imagine your number line, picture your negative 6 going up. Now we are at negative 2. That is our value. We've evaluated it. Okay. Now let's evaluate. 2. Why do I keep using 2? Let's pick a new number. 4x plus y. If, I'll use the word if x equals negative 2 and y equals negative 3. Here we have an expression that has multiple variables in it. And that's okay. We know both of their values. So we can do 4 times the value of x, which is negative 2, which I'll put in parentheses, plus parentheses around the y, plug in the negative 3. Substitute negative 3 in for y. And again, we evaluate it using the proper order of operations. Times comes before plus. Multiplicative operations come before additive operations. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, plus negative 3. And this is actually, I think, easier to think about, being plus negative. You're $8 in debt, you add on $3 of debt, you're going more negative. 8 plus 3 is 11, but we're in the negative land. Negative 11 is our value. Evaluate 6x. No, negative 6x. Negative 6x minus x squared. If x equals 4. Okay? So we have our negative 6. We take out our x. We put parentheses there. We substitute in 4. Minus, now here's where we want to be careful. When you put your parentheses, you always put your parentheses in place of the variable and nothing else. This minus is outside. The exponent is outside. The 4 is inside. So now we have to do our order of operations, but we also have to consider parentheses exponents. We have some other things to do. So it's going to leave this as it is for the moment. Minus 4 squared. So this negative is not inside. This is a minus, right? It's not inside with the 4. Remember what exponents apply to. Only what's directly beneath them. Okay? So only that parenthesis. So we're squaring the number 4. We're taking 4 to the second power, which is 16. I can leave it in parentheses. I can take it out. I'm going to take it out. Now we have negative 6 times 4. We have to do our multiplicative operation. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. And we're going to subtract 16. Imagine your number line. You're 24 down in the negative, right? You're way down there in the left-hand side of your number line. And you're going to subtract. You're going to go more left. You're going to go more negative. You're going to go all the way down to negative 40. All right. So now we have one more. Evaluate x squared minus x. I'll use the word 4 again. 4x equals negative 10. Pause it. Try it if you haven't done that yet on these. X squared minus x for x equals negative 10. So, as we've said, we take out the variable. We put parentheses there, right? We put parentheses where that variable was. You can even do it here just to make sure you get them in the right spot. Nothing else goes in those parentheses, just the x. So we're going to take the parentheses with the squared. It's like you're building the framework, right? You're creating the skeleton. And now we put negative 10 inside the parentheses, inside both of them, because it was the same variable. Okay, a little tricky here. So, you got to think back to an earlier lesson. We have an exponent. Exponents apply to what's directly beneath them. In this case, it's the parenthesis. And in this case, the negative is inside the parenthesis. So this little algebraic mathematical notation here means negative 10 times itself. Two negatives multiplied together. That is positive. We are squaring a negative number, and that is going to be a positive number. Here, we have minus a negative. If you recall from our integer operation talk, when you subtract a negative, you're doing the opposite. Normally when you subtract, you go left. Now we're going to go the opposite of left, which is right, which is the same as adding 10. Subtracting negative 10 means add 10. 100 plus 10 is 110. We can now evaluate algebraic expressions by substituting in the value of x for the variable, and whenever we do that, putting those parentheses wherever those variables were first.